I'm going to go fast here. I hope you guys enjoy this. It should be pretty fun. So far it's coming out really good. So that's my reference photo, and I did change it a little bit, but I'm trying to stick pretty close to the original photograph. So this is my process here. I started out the painting. I wanted to start it and get it going first, and then I can jump in here again while you guys watch, and I'll do the final touches of the painting. So here you can see I did most of the grass in the mountains, and I did a contour drawing of all the buildings, the farm first. And so I did this with you know, a varied just mixtures of all kinds of greens. I have like 4 or 5 different greens on my palette. I just mix them all together, and some yellows and some blues and browns, you know, for the darker tones over here. So I'm thinking this is my main focal point right in here where the road goes in between the barns. So this is going to be the most area of interest here we're looking at. This will be the focal point. And then the other areas are, you know, not as important. So I'll try to do most of the detail right in here. And I've already started the details, as you can see. The road, just, you know, nice wide road in the foreground here. And then it kind of narrows down toward the barns. So I'm going to tape up my reference photo across from me in my studio here. I have a couple spots I can tape up my photos on the wall here. So I just taped up my photo to the left over here, and I'm going to continue on, and so I'll explain as I go here what I'm sort of doing. So now I'm continuing. I'm looking at my photograph, and I'm going to start working on the roofs, I think. So the roofs are in bright sunlight. The sunlight's coming from this side of the painting. So the sun is, like, let's say if we're looking at the painting, the sun's coming from the upper right of the sky and coming across the painting this way. So you'll see that the shadows are behind this side of the building over here, the shadow area. And then this front side and the rooftops and the front side of the buildings, that's in the sunlight, the bright sun, as well as the fields. And then this side over here are the shadow sides. I'm going to darken this up a little bit over here, this side of the barn. So I'll just continue on and try to get the values pretty close to what's in the photographs. I'm using a lot of different colors here, my usual palette. You guys probably can look at some older videos. I go over my palette, what colors I use. Essentially, it's the Charles Reid palette, same exact colors. So that's easy for me to follow. I just use the same palette all the time, the same colors in the same locations on my palette all the time. So I'm very used to, after years of painting, I'm used to my colors, and I can just mix them any way I want them, and it's pretty easy to just do it. It's kind of second nature at this point. And so I'm going to start. Okay, some of the rooftops I'm going to leave white paper. A little cerulean blue here across this portion of the roof. Okay, my goal here is to try to look at the photograph continuously as I go, referencing it all the time as to the colors and the tonal values of the painting. So here, this is darker under this eave of the roof here. It's even a little darker, so I should go in and get a little more blue, purple, brown, mix it all together. Okay, that's about pretty correct. And that there. Couple spots here and there is okay if you have a couple little blossoms of paint. I usually blot it up with a little bit of tissue very carefully. You can roll up the tissue into a fine point if you need to get into a really critical area like that. continue on. I'm going to change my brush a little bit here and maybe use a smaller brush. By the focal point. Okay, this here is, I think it's part of another building, but I'm going to sort of maybe leave it some green and brown as if it's a tree. Sometimes I'll change things as I go if it's the sides of the painting are usually not the focal point, but you can put some focal point areas around your edges of your painting too as well. So this here I'm not making a real important part of the painting here, so I'll just keep going. And okay, I'm looking again at the photograph constantly. This has a and add a couple lines. Some of these roofs have some couple splashes. Trying to introduce a little bit of yellow in here. That denotes some nice bright sunlight, some nice warmth. Okay, so this is doing pretty well so far. Now I can sort of think about where I'm going to put some darks. I know I'm going to definitely do some more of these fence posts in here. I'm going to do this last telephone pole here. There's a couple posts right by the front of the foreground here where it looks like there's two posts for maybe like a chain. If people want to block off their driveway for the farm, they can do that. So there's a couple posts here. You can probably see I sketched those in. And then I need to add some darks over here. So I'm just going to continue on. I'm pretty much done with most of the middle values, and now I'm just going to work towards doing my most darkest values now with some telephone posts and maybe a couple more shadow areas. I'm going to check on my time here. Okay, we're at 10 minutes. Now I'm picking up very little water on my brush. I'm just using mostly just paint right out of the tube now to get my darker colors. So I don't want a lot of water in the brush. I just want to have enough I can just basically go straight into the paint, the tube paint squeezed out in the palette. That's all I really need. I'm not mixing much water at all. Gonna mix up some dark colors, ultramarine blue, some burnt umber, some burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of ultramarine violet. And that's pretty good. I think I'll go for do the telephone pole here. Now what I'm going for here is I don't want to do the whole telephone pole. I'm going to try to do a hit and miss kind of look. Sometimes that looks really good if you sort of do a little bit of something and not spell it all out. So I'm going to add some different colors in there just to make it interesting. Okay, the shadow side is the left. So that's going to be a little darker. Doesn't have to be perfect, as you can see. I'm not going for extreme accuracy, like just trying to looking good. Then I'm going to go over here and do the dark shadow of this side of the barn. Referencing my photo, I see that there's some really super dark shadowing. I'm going to try to get that in. I hope I'm not leaning too much into the camera here. Okay, and where else? This is some really dark there. Again, not too much perfection here. Okay, I could add a little bit touch here and there just to sort of, the eye will sort of, if you're looking at this painting, your eye will kind of bounce around on the really dark spots. So I'm going to try to speed up here a little bit, just kind of dry off my brush a little bit and just do some quick stuff by the barn here. And again, I'm probably going to go back into this painting after we finish up here with our 15 minutes. I'll probably go back and even do a little bit more, but right now I'm just going to try to get the idea of it. Okay, so that's the one post, and then we have the other post. A little bit of dry brush there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and do a couple splashes. Okay, closer up you'll see more details. And I'm definitely going to go back in and do some more shadows. But I just want to get this in here. Okay, those verticals look really good. I noticed a couple spots that I missed the shadowing.